Welcome to Magical Woman. I'm your host, Connie Boyd. Now, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click on the bell so that you will receive notifications when new videos are uploaded. Today's Magical Woman guest is a first for us. I'm pleased to introduce our first magical man, Master Magician Lance Burton. Winning the first magic competition he entered, Lance's stage and manipulation act quickly became a noted favorite, and he continued to win awards and competitions in the US. In 1982, Lance competed at FISM in Switzerland. At FISM, after performing his manipulation stage act, he made history, being the first American and the youngest magician ever to win the coveted Grand Prix, which earned him the title World Champion Magician. In short, he was the best. Lance's talent was undeniable, and his star continued to soar upwards with multiple performances for presidents and royalty. Lance appeared on television shows. He was cast as a magician in films and on television. He appeared often on late night television shows. He starred in his own magic television specials, and he directed and starred in a film called Billy Toppet, Master Magician. All this in addition to producing, creating, and performing nightly for years in Las Vegas in his award-winning, highly successful magic show, Lance Burton, Master Magician. His skill set, charisma, charm, and sincerity make him a household name, and he has won more awards, has more credits, and is one of the most beloved magicians on the planet. Plus, he's a very, very nice guy and is a generous, gracious celebrity. Lance made time for Magical Woman today to chat with us about Diana Zimmerman and her impact on our magical world. Welcome, Lance.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here, Connie. Thank you for asking me.
How has Diana contributed to magic?
Well, you know, the amazing thing is at some point, Diana kind of walked away from performing, walked away from the stage, and then she became this super successful businesswoman. She started her own company, and she started producing shows for corporate events, and she was like the go-to person to do corporate events in magic, and she was always incorporating illusions and hiring magicians, and you know, that's really an amazing accomplishment, especially considering that was back in, you know, 20, 30 years ago. A woman in business, you know, being very successful. And I remember one time she had a client, I'm trying to remember what the company was. Was it Toyota or, anyway, it was some big company, some multinational company. And they were having an event in Las Vegas, and Diana called up and says, hey, you know, what would it cost to just buy out the theater and bring them all to your show? And I'm like, yeah, that's, you know, that's fine. And we worked out a thing, and they basically bought the whole theater out, and it was all the company there. And so, you know, I worked with Diana to you know, make it a successful event for her. Worked with her, you know, saying, you know, Diana, who should I get up on stage? You know,
yeah.
Who with the company is someone that everybody knows, and everybody likes? You know, is there a vice president that's real popular I could get up on stage? And so it was just a really fun, successful event, and that was nice to get to work with Diana in that way.
Yeah, I think that the knowledge that she brought to the platform as far as performance and magic, and also the business insight that she brought, that balance is quite rare, especially when you're doing corporate events and big commercial events. And I think that's probably the key to her success, because she had that balance and she was able to speak artist language and also speak business language, and that's a gift.
Yeah, I mean, I always love doing corporate events, and some guys don't, but I always love doing it, and it is a different language, and it's a different approach. Sometimes I remember one of the first corporate events I did back in the early '80s was for Chanel, the perfume company, and I was doing the Bird Act. and the close of the act was the zombie bird cage with the little bird in it. And
You,
so they they said they sent me a foulard, like a scarf with the Chanel logo on it.
right.
And they had a special request. They said, "Could you use this in your act?" And I thought, well, yeah, I could do the zombie with that cloth.
Right.
And oh, that'd be a great idea. So I had to rehearse with it, and I had to have altered a little bit
Right.
for the trick, but in the end, so I get there to do it. Now in my mind, I'm thinking, this is a dumb idea. What difference does it make?
Right.
So it was
Yeah.
that's how stupid I was. It was an early morning event. It was like 9 in the morning, and I'm dressed in the tuxedo, and I'm doing the birds and the card manipulations. And then I get to the part where I start to do the bird cage. And boy, when I lifted that cloth and they saw that Chanel, they roared. They start screaming and applauding. And I'm standing there, this is the biggest reaction in the show. And I'm sitting there going, oh, yeah, I guess they do like this. This is good. So I learned a lesson that day, You're doing corporate events, it's a different ball game. There's different rules.
Right. And if you incorporate their product, they get so excited, or produce their president, or, things that we kind of think of as simple to them are remarkable. They are true magic. So that's great advice also for the viewers. So.
and that's where I learned to ask ahead of time when I'm trying to figure out who I'm going to pick for my volunteer from the audience for whatever trick I'm doing. And what I came up with, I talked to somebody that knows the company, and I say, who here everybody knows and everybody likes? Because there might be somebody that every employee knows, but they hate.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So those are the two questions I always ask. Who here, point someone out to me that everybody in the company knows and everybody likes. Right. And that's usually who I'll pick for the volunteer from the audience.
Well, that's fabulous advice. Lance, is there anything else you'd like to add about Diana or mention?
Well, of course, first of all, she, as a performer, she had a very interesting, very commercial act, the record act. And she performed that in casinos and around everywhere. And I understand she did other acts too. I know she had a pickpocket act. I don't think I ever got to see the pickpocket act, but I've maybe saw some clips of it. But I think her involvement in the junior program at the Magic Castle will be one of the things that she's remembered for generations, because the young people that she's helped inspire and work with, those kids will go on and they'll inspire other magicians. Right. So, my hat's off to Diana. She was working in the junior program, decades ago, and it's an amazing youth group for magic. Right.
Yeah, and it's interesting because you have a teen program as well, so you can relate to the effort and also how enlightening it is to see this young talent and that it blossoms into something that has a future in magic.
Yeah, I've spoken a couple of times to the youth group there at the Magic Castle, and the kids there are very advanced. They're around Los Angeles and the Magic Castle and all the great magicians there. So they are way far ahead of kids when I was their age. For instance, it's just really amazing. So there's a little bit of crossover, and I know a couple of the kids that were in the Castle youth program attended our teen seminars and were in some of the contests. And I think Danny Cole was one of the kids from the Castle group that was even on one of my television specials. So there may have been a couple. I'm trying to remember now. I'm trying to think back 20, 30 years ago. So
Kristen Lambert also.
Yeah, Kristen. Yeah, she was in Make Believe. That's right. She came out of the Castle youth group. Right. So it's fun to see the kids that we knew, as teenagers going on to have a career in magic.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, can you tell the viewers a little bit about your gramophone and how Diana's connected to that?
Well, this goes back, I think, that maybe the first time I saw Diana perform the record act. She was doing, this was back in the 70s, so this was like the heyday of the theme act, you know. Marvin Roy was one who was always promoting, you know, you got to have a theme to your act, you know, Mr. Electric. And so anyway, Diana had this record act. So everything had to do with records. I think she had a zombie with a phonograph record, and she produced little small records like doing card manipulations. Right. But the finish of the act was the gramophone illusion. And I remember seeing it the first time on television, and I was just totally amazed. You know, she fooled me with it so badly. I was like, what just happened there? And so I was aware of that illusion, and that was always my one of my favorite types of magic was the transposition. And you can see right here, this is the old man in the whiskers that was from Harry Blackstone Jr.'s show. It was a trick Harry Jr. did, and his father before him. That was the first transposition I ever saw when I was a teenager. And Harry amazed me. I mean, I was fooled badly with that illusion. And so that was an interest of mine, the transpositions. And this was mine for the sword fight.
It's brilliant, Lance. It was, yeah, it's great.
They're different methods.
Right.
But it was inspired by seeing Harry Jr. So when Diana did the transposition with the gramophone, she caught me off guard. First time I saw it, and I was aware of the illusion. Then we fast forward back till the I guess the mid to late 80s, and it came up for sale, Diana's gramophone, and I immediately, you know, picked up the phone and said, "Hey, I want that," and sent a check, and then I flew into Los Angeles on my day off. I was at the Folies Bergère at the Tropicana Hotel in Las Vegas at that time. So I flew into LA on my day off and rented a van and went and picked it up and drove it back, and we rehearsed it, and I changed a little bit of the plot of the trick. I didn't do it exactly like Diana did, but it was, you know, clearly the same trick. And I put it in the act, and it was a mainstay in my act for the next 25 years.
Yeah, no, it was fabulous. And the slight twist that you presented with it was, instead of transposing onto stage, you actually appeared in the middle of the audience, and that just added another layer, gave it a little bit more dimension. It was very, very good. Yeah,
so it was a very psychologically well-constructed illusion. Mm-hmm. It had some really powerful misdirection to draw the audience in, and a surprise ending, and was always, you know, that was one trick in my show I always looked forward to doing, because in my show I did 5 or 6 transpositions in the course of the show, closing with the sword fight, and the gramophone was the first one. So that was the first time in my show, and it was about maybe 20 minutes into the show. Mm-hmm. So that was the first time in the show that the audience got to see me disappear and reappear somewhere else. So it was always scored every night, never failed. It was got a big reaction, and kind of jolted people. Right. Sometimes you get an audience that's, you know, sometimes you have a good show. You get lucky, and you walk out and you're Bruce Springsteen for a night. So those shows are great, but most of the time you have to work for it a little bit, and maybe the audience is tired. You know, maybe they're dehydrated. Maybe they've been walking up and down the strip all day, and they're in the sun. So they get in the show, you know, and they settle in, and they just sort of, you know, we're going to watch the show, but they're kind of relaxing, and so they're a little sluggish. But when I did the gramophone and I appeared right there next to them, you know, that's like reaching out and grabbing somebody by the collars and just like shaking them.
Wake up!
like wake up and go, whoa, what happened there, man? brings them into the show, immediately. So that's why I love the gramophone. And Diana was always very kind, and she always loved coming to the show, and she loved seeing me do that trick.
Thank you so much for taking the time today to talk to us about Diana. We appreciate it. And
my pleasure.
Remember to subscribe and comment below.